Hey everyone, welcome back to Mapleberry Farm. So today I'm going to talk to you about why we quit homesteading. So, as you know, at the moment we are currently living in the city. We left the homestead about a month ago and are renting a townhouse in the city for right now. So let me give you a recap on the last year since we moved to Mapleberry Farm and what has led us to this point. So in March last year is when we first landed on the homestead. There was snow up to our ears and we had to have someone come and with big tractors and plow out our quarter-mile driveway into where the camper was set up and then plow out a spot. First we had to snowshoe in for the first couple days, and then once those people were able to come with a big tractor with snowblower attachments on it, they were able to clear it out and we could bring the truck into where the camper was. So middle of winter, tons and tons of snow, really cold, family of 5, 3 people, 2 cats, moving into a travel trailer. We had previously been living on an Air Force base in Ontario. We had a nice place, the PMQ, which is military housing, which is a nice place with 3 bedrooms, lots more space. And we had to pack up all of our stuff, put it into storage, and move into that trailer with no running water, no toilet, electricity only run when we turned on our generator, which we had to, go get gas, pour it in, plug it in, turn it on, and then we could have a little bit of electricity, which provided our heat and stuff as well. So, yeah, that was different, a completely different lifestyle that we weren't used to. We were used to having everything at our fingertips because that's kind of what we always had, was like, you want anything, it's just there. You got like your electricity, you got your running water, you want to have a hot shower, you want to have a hot bath, you want to turn on the TV, whatever you want to do, I mean, you could do, and you wouldn't even have to think about it. You just do it. So, yeah, we left that life and started a brand new journey. And to be honest, it wasn't a journey that we had ever thought we would be on. It wasn't something like a dream of ours to homestead. That was never something we thought about, never something we talked about. The reason we decided to homestead was because Jeremy is the sole provider. Once we had children, Sam, I stopped working, and we decided that I would raise her and like homeschool her and stay home and be there for her. So Jeremy was the income provider for the family. And then really quickly, within a couple of years, he lost his health and he lost his job. So once he lost his health, we knew that it was inevitable. He was losing his job, and we thought, what do we do now? How do we live and provide for ourselves, our little family, without his income and without me having to leave and go to work, because then Sam would still have to go to daycare. He, wasn't healthy enough to fully take care of her all the time anyway. So she'd have to be in like daycare or whatever, and I'd have to go to work. How do we avoid that and still able to live, comfortably? And that's when we thought, well, if we don't have a lot of money coming in every month, so we thought if we could find a cheap piece of land, build a house on it, one step at a time, using our own money instead of borrowing money, so we wouldn't have a mortgage over our head to worry about paying, and make sure that the house was self-sustaining. So having a well so we don't have to pay for water, having a septic so we don't have to pay for the sewer system, having a piece of land that's got cheap taxes, not only a cheap piece of land, but cheap property taxes. So that's kind of why we're out in the middle of nowhere. So it's got cheap property taxes that you have to pay every year. Having our own source of heat, which is our woods burning stove, and we bought 70 acres of land, so we have tons of trees to provide for our heat. And then electricity. If we have solar panels, they'll provide solar power, which we'll have to learn how to live with just whatever it is that we have enough power for. And so that gets rid of all those bills and a mortgage. So really you have your food that you have to worry about, your insurance for your vehicle and your gas and stuff like that. So, those are things that we obviously need and can't really get rid of. We're going to have a garden in the future, and Jeremy hunts, so that helps with the grocery bills, bringing that down. But so anyways, that's how we kind of got on the whole homesteading journey, we had, been thinking, like I said, what do we do? What do we do now? And homesteading seemed like a pretty, good option and something that would be worth trying. So that's why we chose that option. But when we moved to our property in March, not only were we a young couple with a young child coming from having everything at our fingertips to now having nothing unless we go and get it ourselves, but we were dealing with a lot of emotional trauma. So anybody who loses a job that you like, it's not easy. Anyone who's lost their health, it's not easy. So not only did he lose his health, but prior to losing his health, he was very active, very physically fit, very into sports. And then that was taken away from him. And then within maybe 2 or 3 years at the most, his career, which wasn't just a job, it was his career. It was his way of providing for our family. It was something that he loved. It was something that he excelled in. He wanted to serve his country. He wanted to do everything that the military required him to do. He was willing to go above and beyond, and he excelled in that career. And he lost that too. So, it's one thing if you don't care about your job and then you lost it and you're like, oh, phew. Well, that wasn't the case here. Or your health, you never really did much of anything anyway, and then you lost something that didn't really matter to you anyways. He lost 2 things that were very, very important to him in a very short period of time. And then right when all that happens, we're being just kind of like thrown into a whole new lifestyle. And we're going through it together. So both of us are bearing this huge emotional burden. Maybe not burden, but kind of this huge emotional trauma that we're trying to deal with. We're trying to process. We're trying to figure out, what do we do with this? How do we deal with this? What do we do from here? Learning the things that Jeremy can eat, can't eat. Things that Jeremy can do, can't do. Things like that are also a part of losing your health. Worrying about finances and stuff from your career coming to an end way sooner than you ever expected or wanted it to. And now we're, like I said, taking our whole life from a nice place on a military base with lots of people and friends and just a totally different lifestyle that you become accustomed to, and taking all of that, throwing all our stuff into storage and moving into it's not very little, but moving into a camper with no running water, not in a very remote area, no power, nothing like that. Like we would turn on the generator, so we had lights obviously, and we had heat, so we could have power, but I mean not like at your fingertips. So you have to watch what you use, because you have to buy more gas to put in the generator, fill it up all the time if you want to have electricity, or turn the TV on, or turn on lights. You got to watch your power consumption very much so. If you want water, you got to go out and get it. You can't just turn on the tap. You can't just have a shower. You can't just flush your toilet. You got to go collect your water, warm it up, and then use it to bathe and huck it outside, because our pipes were all frozen. We also had to learn how to compost our toilet, because pipes were all frozen. We couldn't use the facilities in the camper. So doing dishes, I had to do them emptied into have the water in buckets so that I could dump it back outside and not down our frozen pipes, because again, it's the middle of winter, Canadian New Brunswick winter. So we're dealing with all that sort of stuff. And not only that, right when we had been trying for like a year to have another child, and we finally got pregnant, and we were so excited. And then right when we moved to New Brunswick, right at that same time during our travels, we started losing the baby, and that was so stressful. And we're in the middle of moving. It was literally, we were at a hotel like in the middle of moving, and we still had 4 more days of traveling from Ontario, or 3 more days of Ontario to New Brunswick. And I was in the hospital, and I spent an entire day in the hospital, and then was told as soon as I get to New Brunswick, I need to get back into the emergency right away. And we're driving with 2 cats that are just not wanting to be in the vehicle, a 3-year-old not wanting to be in the vehicle, and me dealing with, I don't understand what's going on with my body. I don't have a clue. People in the hospitals telling me, drive there as quick as you can and get back to a hospital, and make sure you know where every hospital is along your way in case there's an emergency and you need to end up there. So it was very, very traumatic. And as soon as we landed in New Brunswick, right to the emergency I went and spent the day there. And then within, I think, a week and a half, we ended up losing the baby. And, you know, right while we're just in this huge transition of everything so different. And anyway, we got over that. We dealt with that. Took a while, that's for sure. But as soon as the snow melted, we started building our house, and we did, I think, a pretty decent job, and we worked together well. But that was another challenge, learning to work together on such a huge project, as well as be a parent during that time, because we had Sam with us. And I mean, for the majority of it, it was just the two of us. We had his dad come a couple times to help, maybe 3 times. And one of his friends came, I think, twice to help do a few things. And that was really appreciated. But the majority of the house build was just the two of us, while trying to be a parent to Sam, while going to collect our water, while having to drive an hour and a half away if we wanted to go get any amount of groceries or stuff for the house, materials, because the next city was over an hour, between an hour and a half away. So it was very different, and there was a lot of things along the way that kind of got screwed up. And one of the things was we built our floor and insulated the bottom of it before we put our walls and our roof up, and that was not a good idea. We ended up with some terrible, like, torrential rains, and it almost wrecked the floor. And then we had to go underneath and cut every piece of insulation and drain all the water out, and there was a lot of water. So that was a big screw up that happened for us. And then we didn't end up taping any of the insulation back up until the walls and the roof were completely finished, luckily. But little things like that we just didn't think about along the way. We didn't have the internet, so if we wanted to research anything, we had to drive into the closest town, which was about 15 to 20 minutes away, and go into the coffee shop and, you know, try and feed Sam some donut or something so she's not, you know, whining that we're taking too long trying to research stuff on the internet, and then get back out to the camp. And usually along the way we'd have to collect water because we'd need more water. And yeah, get building. And so a lot of stuff, it just took a lot of time. It was emotionally a very traumatic time we were going through, as well as learning, like I said, this brand new lifestyle. So the house was finally done in October, like livable. I mean, there's still no running water. The inside walls aren't completed, like the pine boards or anything on the inside, but it was livable. We had a toilet we could use and flush if we poured the water in the back. Jeremy hooked up my sinks so that I could pour water in the sinks. I'd warm it up on the wood stove, pour water and do my dishes, and I could drain it, which was like a huge blessing. I mean, each step along the way was a huge blessing. Just getting into the house with no sinks and no cupboards and no nothing, just walls and our beds, was a huge step. And then each step along the way, as we hooked up a sink or built a little countertop or bought our toilet, bought our, you know, things like that. It was so exciting and felt so surreal. And so we got in it in October, and then we still don't have a well or anything. So we're collecting all of our own water in order to, like, just shower or do anything, right? But then we just found that in September we lost another baby, which was another pretty traumatic thing for us to go through because we really wanted both of them, right? So we lost it again. And then we are back and forth to the biggest city, which is, I said, like an hour and a half away. We're back and forth constantly for materials, for groceries, and for appointments. Jeremy had a bunch of appointments through Veterans Affairs and rehabilitation and physiotherapy and stuff, which takes, if you're going to go to town, you're going to be gone for the whole day, and it just takes up a large amount of your day. And then we got a lot of snow really quickly, and we're still collecting our water, so that takes quite a while. We're bringing all of our wood over, so we have all of our wood source for heat for the winter. There's still a bunch of things that need to be done, so the house is, you know, good for the winter. And then you know, just dealing with, still just learning how to deal with this new lifestyle, which is completely different, like I said, than we're used to. Still dealing with the stress of, you know, the loss of Jeremy's career and his health, and that doesn't really go away too quickly. Like hopefully it'll go away soon, but I mean, it's a pretty big thing to have to deal with emotionally. And then the second child lost, that's another big thing emotionally we had to deal with. And so in December, we just thought, you know, we need a break. We need to get out of here. And we're back and forth to the city all the time. Why not move to the city for the winter? We That way we don't have to stress and worry about maintaining all that snow in our driveway, getting all of our water, getting back and forth to appointments in snowstorms, stuff like that, and just getting a break, just being able to go into a hot bath when we want a hot bath, and being able to just relax and just take it easy. And so we found an apartment that we were able to rent within like a few days of meeting the guy. We got the place, I think 3 or 4 days later, we were able to move in. So it happened really, really quickly. And, you know, we're really grateful, but we've been here almost a month now, and we're really realizing, like looking back, like Mapleberry Farm is where we want to be. It isn't easy, and it's a learning curve, and you know, we have so much that we want to do there. But being here in the city, in a townhouse with no yard, we just feel like we've lost our sense of purpose. And we need that. Everybody needs a sense of purpose. And on Mapleberry Farm, we had a purpose. There's always things that need to be done there. We can give our child a better life, we feel, out there, because there's so much space, there's so much freedom. We can teach her about the outdoors. We can teach her so many practical life skills out there. And so, you know, we're here right now, we're in the city, we're in this apartment, but as soon as spring comes, we're going to head back to Mapleberry Farm. We're going to be positive. We're going to do everything that we want 2019 to bring. We're going to build the addition. We're going to get a well dug, and hopefully we'll get a garden, maybe some chickens. I don't know for sure about the chickens, but we're going to definitely get the addition, the well, and some sort of garden done. And we're really excited, and we just can't wait to get back there. And like, you know, we just really needed that break. And sometimes that's what people need, is you just need a break from life, because life just sucks sometimes, or it's just hard, right? So we've had this break, and having it has really made us realize what it is that we want. And what we want is to be homesteaders. We want to be on Mapleberry Farm. We want to make this legacy that we bought a piece of land and we built it from the ground up, and we turned it into a home. We turned it into a lifestyle, and we did it. And you know, some days we think it'd be so much easier if we could just buy a house already built and already completed and already has the gardens and the farms and everything. But then we wouldn't get to say that we did it, you know? Like we want to take pride now that neither one of us works away from the home. We want to take pride, and we want to build something. We want to build a legacy that we can leave to our children and our children's children. And you know, just be patient with us and stick along for the journey, because we take you through the ups and downs, and trust me, there are lots of both. And we think 2019 is going to be a really great year, and we're just really excited to take you along and show you all that we're going to accomplish at Mapleberry Farm this year. So, like I said, stick around. You'll get to see the addition. You'll get to see the inside of the current cabin being completed, the well going in, the running water, which is going to be so awesome inside the house, and figuring out how to update our solar so that we can pump the water in the house and heat it through some sort of solar pump. I don't really know. We got a lot of research to do, but we're going to do it, and we're going to stick it out at Mapleberry Farm. And next time, you know, if we need a break, we'll just get a hotel for a night, 'cause sometimes you just need a break. And anyway, thanks guys. I just thought I'd give you an update. And you know, we're not quitting on this lifestyle, and don't quit on us. Stick around as we continue to figure things out, and we'll be back there as soon as we can. Thanks.